Hi, everyone. My name is Pedro, co-founder of Flourish, a personal finance tool that helps young adults establish savings habits by using the power of games and rewards. Today in the US, nearly half of Americans do not have $400 in their savings account. In case of emergency, they have either to borrow or sell one of their assets. This type of problem is really near my heart. I moved to the US when I was 15 years old, me and my mother. A year later, she had to move back to Brazil. That left me alone as a teenager, having to work minimum multiple wage jobs to make ends meet. I often found myself in a survival mindset, so thinking about the future, putting money aside for emergencies, was tough. I was able to figure it out and have decided to dedicate my career helping others in my community better manage their money. I started by working in traditional finance and quickly realized that the products there were not serving the needs of my community. I then transitioned to Opportune, a small dollar lender helping the Latino community establish credit. I got much closer to the community I wanted to serve, but once again realized that the problem goes beyond to access to credit. Intrigued by the savings problem, I wanted to dig in deeper. We have done over 150 interviews, put a number of prototypes in the hand of customers, and over again, we hear from folks like Carlos, Daniel, that it is stressful to engage with finances. It often feels like a chore. Think of your own life. If something that you're not good at it, you're likely gonna put it off. That's exactly the problem we wanna tackle with Flourish. We wanna make finances fun and rewarding for individuals. So let's take, for example, Carlos. He would come to Flourish for the fun of games and a chance to win prizes. He would connect his savings account. Instead of staring at charts and graphs and magically think his finances are gonna work, for every dollar that he saves, every dollar that he pays down on debt, he's actually rewarded with games. Games that give him a chance to win prizes. Those prizes come in two different ways. One of them, it's a lottery-like format, proved by behavioral science that it does work. There's examples in many other countries. So small chance to win a big prize. And the longer Carlos engage, he will go unlocking gift cards and coupons, which, by the way, they are from retailers wanting to get closer to Carlos. We have designed a win-win-win business model. Carlos will get a free and fun way to save, while our banking partner, who's struggling to drive deposit, will have a new source of deposit and product referral. There's a lot of spending in this market. Just underserved consumers alone, last year, there was $179 billion spent on financial services. As you can see, it can be quite expensive to be poor. Banks are trying to catch up. They spend over $20 billion last year trying to create engagement platform for the young consumers. We are starting with young adults who are just starting their financial journey, getting jobs, starting families, and we are the right team to do it. I spent over 8 years in personal finance, 6 of them at Opportune, from Series C all the way to pre-IPO. My co-founder, Jessica, is a rock star. She spent 10 years in the operations and technology within the nonprofit space. Our technical team has developed award-winning games and developed softwares for early-stage startup, and our team continues to grow through launch. We have onboarded 2 new team members with banking experience, and we put a formal board of advisors in place, including the CEO of Opportunity Fund, who's highly interested in what we are doing. Additionally, we onboarded a top behavioral economist working for the Dan Ariely Lab, who has worked with the top financial institutions on changing consumer behavior. She opened a door for us. We have lined up through launch a banking partner that actually wants to test our solutions with the dormant accounts that they have, the savings account, which currently do not have any transaction. That allows us to move beyond the actual prototypes to actually scale our testing. And for that, we're looking for an angel investor that believes that personal finance can and should be fun. With your support here, we're positioned to flourish.
So it seemed like that there were three pieces of that model. That third piece being prizes being given by merchant partners. That felt a little bit like it was in addition to the core model. Can you talk about why that's there and how important that is?
It is an addition, actually, and it's a piece that we haven't got to the testing fully. We think through that model, we have really rich data as we engage with users and create a bigger user base. Being able to see what the user is spending money and provide them another way to actually save money. So think of retailers, they are struggling to get to the Latino immigrant community. This is a source for them to get there. And it's additional prize if they're not winning on the lottery format, that if they're long engaging, they still have a path to win something, to see value out of it.
So curious about your customer acquisition strategy, but related to that, how do you ensure the game is fun? I mean, you seems like you have a designer, but you're focused very much on the finance side of it. But if people don't want to play the game, it kind of all stops there.
That's very true. So let me tackle the user acquisition first. So as we think of the model, we want to remove user acquisition on the very immediate next test. So banks see the importance. We're going to get a pool of customers from the bank right away to really work on what your second question was, which is, how do I get the mechanics to really work? So that takes acquisition model from the very short term, but we also see in our research, it shows, and even when I worked at Opportune, trust is a big thing. So finding partners and ways to get to the consumer that they can build trust. So during my time at Opportune, that meant going to the Mexican consulate, to venues that they trusted, so we can be the personal finance tool that they will trust. So that's on the acquisition side. On the game piece, we think it's a mix between engagement and rewards. So it's not only like they're going there to play Clash of Titans or they are playing Candy Crush. It's the idea that activity, game-like interaction, which is much better than people staring at charts and graphs that we have today. So the bar is low. Not to say, as we grow, we have opportunities to understand what a game partnership could look like.
From the users that are actually using this right now, what is the time that they're spending on the app to play these games? I'm just curious.
We're not getting very much engagement at this stage. We developed the app with just the gaming elements in our first MVP. We learned quite a bit that we needed to make changes. So we stopped the MVP, went back to the drawing board, and started adding games beyond the gaming elements, the reward elements. So we are just about to release our 2.0.
Do you have an education component?
The way we see education is not a imposed education. There are things in our app where it will be tips, and there's some games that actually quiz trivia on how people spend their money. So it's not, here's information. It's more of like, can I, as I go in this, look at my finances? And just that looking at the finances to interact and win awards will allow them to look at their finances differently.